Is the slide visible? Slide is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in the last class, we have seen the speed control techniques of DC shunt motors. Okay. So wherein there were three methods. In each method, we could control one parameter or one quantity. Okay. So I could control the speed using flux control by varying the flux by inserting a series rheostat in field. So this method of speed control gave me the speed control above the rated speed. In second method, I inserted a control resistance or a series resistance in armature circuit, which created a small amount of voltage drop across itself and provided the remaining voltage across the armature. So because of this armature control resistance in series with the armature, the voltage received by the armature was less, was reduced. Hence, the speed was also reduced. Okay, so with this, I could control the speed of DC motor below the rated value. The third method was the voltage control method, okay, or the Ward-Leonard system of speed control that we have seen in the yesterday's class, wherein we could get a wide range of speed control for a DC motor, okay, and I can obtain when the speed control is below the rated value, a constant torque and variable power operation. And if the speed control is above the rated value, I get a constant power and variable torque operation. Yeah. And this method of speed control uses two more additional machines, one prime mover and one DC generator, separately excited DC generator, okay, which makes the capital investment bit higher, okay, less efficient, okay, more noisy, require more space. With all these disadvantages, the advantage was the smooth speed control and wide range of speed control. So because of which it was, though it was less efficient, but it was still used widely in industrial applications because of a wide range of speed control. Before, the electronic speed control techniques became more famous. Yeah. So these things what we already have discussed in the previous classes. Today's class we will solve few examples on these DC motor speed control. Okay. So statement already I have written. A 250-volt series motor has armature resistance of 0.25 ohms. On load, it takes an armature current of 50 amperes and runs at 750 RPM. If the flux of the motor is reduced by 10% without changing the load torque, find the new speed of the motor. Okay. So this is a DC series motor. First, we'll write the given things. So given things are series motor, with a applied voltage of 250 volts, armature resistance RA is equals to 0.25. Okay. On load, it takes armature current of 50 amperes. Okay. So let this IA1 be 50 amperes because there are two conditions. There is a change in speed. So therefore, let me take the first given value is IA1. Okay, and speed N1 to be 750 RPM. If the flux of the motor is reduced by 10%, it means my phi2 is equals to, okay, it is reduced by 10%. In the sense, 90% of phi1. whatever the flux was there in the first case, that is reduced by 10%. It means the available flux in the second case is 90% of the first case. Okay? Without changing the load torque. So without changing the load torque means my T2 is equals to T1. Okay? My T2 is equals to T1, or TA2 is equals to TA1. Okay? What is the new speed of the motor? So I have to find out what is the new speed of the motor. This is what I have to do. Okay. So we have a relation between speed, back EMF, and flux. Okay. So solution. So here we have N2 by N1 is equals to EB2 by EB1 into phi1 by phi2. So this is the fundamental relation we have. Okay. And here this is a series motor. Let me draw a series motor first. So the flux will be directly proportional to the armature current or the line current. This is IA. The applied voltage is 250 volts. Okay. We have this relation, and my torque TA is proportional to phi into IA. This we know. Okay. So therefore I can write TA1 is equals to phi1 into IA1, and TA2 is equals to phi2 into IA2. But in the given statement, it is mentioned that the load torque is remaining constant if the flux of the motor is reduced by 10% without changing the load torque. It means my TA1 is equals to TA2. Okay, so given TA1 or TA2 is equals to TA1. TA2 is equals to TA1. Why I have to do this? Because I want the load current IA2. Load current 1 is mentioned, IA1 is 50 amperes, but I should know what is the load current IA2, because I need to find out what is EB2. Okay, so TA2 is equals to TA1. I have this. So phi1 IA1 is equals to phi2 IA2. Sorry, phi2 IA2. IA2 is equals to phi1 IA1. What is phi2? Now phi2 is 90% of phi1. Okay, so this is 0.9 phi1 into IA2 is equals to phi1 into IA1. So phi1 goes off. So IA2 is equals to IA1 over 0.9. Therefore, IA2 is equals to IA2 is equals to 50 divided by 0.9. So how much we'll get?
55.56.
55.5 amperes. So this is my new load current. So when load current changes, back EMF should change. Okay. So I can calculate now EB1 is V minus IA1 RA. My armature resistance is not changing. It is same in both the cases. Okay. So it is RA, and we need not to take RA1 and RA2. So 250 minus IA1 is 50 into 0.25. So EB1 comes out to be
237.5.
237.5 volts. Okay. So EB2. Now I have the load current in second case. So conveniently I can find out EB2. So V minus IA2 RA equals to, so 250 minus 55.5 into 0.25. So it will be less than EB1.
236.12.
Into volts. Okay. Now I have EB2, I have EB1, I have phi1 and phi2. That is phi2 in terms of phi1. So I can calculate N2. So therefore, N2 is equals to, I can write N1 into EB2 by EB1 into phi1 divided by phi2, I will write 0.951. Therefore, N2 is equals to 750 is my N1, 236.12 is my EB2, 237.5 is my EB1 into 1 over 0.9. So this will be my new speed.
28.4.
828.4 RPM. Yes. Okay. So this is my new speed. Okay. All are getting the same?
Yes, sir.
So we'll move to the next example. A 200 volt shunt motor having armature resistance of 0.4 ohms and shunt field resistance of 100 ohms drives a load at 500 RPM, taking 27 amperes. Okay. So it is desired to run the motor at 700 RPM. Assuming the load torque to be constant, find the value of additional resistance to be used as field regulator. Neglect the saturation effect. Okay. So this is the example where I have to find out the resistance to be added in the field circuit so that my speed increases from 500 RPM to 700 RPM, keeping the load torque constant. Okay. So given things. So first we'll draw the shunt motor. So there is a field regulator. Let me take it as RF. The applied voltage is 200 volts. This be I, IA and ISH. The shunt field resistance is 100 ohms. RSH is 100 ohms. This is RSH. So the given thing, V is equals to 200 volts. Armature resistance RA is of 0.4 ohms. Shunt field resistance RSH 100 ohms. The load at 500 RPM. So let me take the first speed as 500 RPM. Taking a line current of 27 amperes. So let me take this as I1 is 27 amps. It is desired to run the motor at 700 RPM. So second speed is 700 RPM. Assuming the load torque to be constant. So I will take it as T2 is equals to T1, or TA2 is equals to TA1. Find the value of external resistance to be used. So RF is to be calculated. That is field rheostat. RF is to be calculated. Okay. So this current 27 amperes is the line current. Okay, you should not get confused. When taking 27 ampere means the motor, entire motor with shunt, field and armature is taking current of 27 amperes. So it is line current. So therefore IA1 is I1 minus ISH. Now what is ISH? In the first case, there is no field regulator added in the circuit. The field regulator is added in the second case so that the speed has increased to 700 RPM. So when the motor is running at 500 RPM, there is no additional additional resistance in the field. RF is absent. So therefore, my ISH1, this will be ISH1, because in the second case, I am adding a field rheostat. Therefore, my shunt field current changes. So ISH1 here is V divided by RSH. So 200 by 100, 2 amperes. Okay. Therefore, IA1 is the first case when the field rheostat is not used. So IA1 is, it is 27 minus 2 is 25 amperes. IA1 is 25 amperes. Okay. Therefore, EB1 back EMF is V minus IA1 RA. My RA will not change, equals to 200 minus 25 into 0.4. So EB1 is equals to 190 volts. EB1 is 190 volts. Okay. Similarly, EB2, it is given that my torque is not changing. Okay, so my TA2 is equals to TA1. I can write it as Phi2 IA2 is equals to Phi1 IA1. Phi2 IA2 is equals to Phi1 IA1. It is given because the torque is remaining constant, assuming the load torque to be constant. Okay, so it is given. Now we know that in shunt motor, for shunt motor, the flux is proportional to field current. In any motor, flux is proportional to field current. But in shunt motor, flux is proportional to shunt current, ISH. So therefore, I can write ISH2 into IA2 is equals to ISH1 into IA1. ISH2 into IA2 is equals to ISH1 into IA1. Okay. Now, I don't know what is ISH2 because in the second case, a rheostat is added in field of which the value I don't know. That is what I have to find out. Therefore, ISH2 is unknown to me now. But I know ISH1, I know IA1. I can write ISH2 is equals to ISH1, IA1 divided by IA2. So I have the value of ISH1 to IA1 25 divided by IA2. So here I can write ISH2 is equals to 50 by IA2. ISH2 is equal to 50 by IA2. Now, I have a speed relation. So we have M2 by N1 is equals to EV2 by EB1 into phi1 by phi2. So because flux is proportional to shunt current, I can write this as EB2 by EB1 into ISH1 by ISH2. So, ISH1 by ISH2. Okay. So I know EB1. Okay. EB2 is still unknown because IA2 I don't know. What is the armature current in the second case is still unknown. Okay. So we will keep it as it is. So let me take N2 is 700, N1 is 500, it is given. So 700 by 500, EB2, I will keep EB2 as V minus IA2 into RA divided by 190. EB1 value is 190, we have calculated. ISH1 okay, by ISH2 into, I will write it as, here I have ISH2 is equals to 50 by IA2. ISH1, I have the value of 2 amperes. So ISH1 is 2 amperes divided by ISH2 is 50 by IA2. So I will rewrite this. So 700 by 500 is equals to, it is 200 minus 0.4 IA2. RA is 0.4, 190 into 2 IA2 by 50. So in this entire equation, the only unknown is IA2. Okay. So we can find out the value of IA2 here. It is a quadratic equation. It is IA2 square. You can observe. Okay, you will get IA2 square here. So we will get two values of IA2. Okay. So it is 700 by 500. What we will get is so you write an equation for IA2. You will find out IA2. There is a bracket here, okay? And don't forget. So this 2 IA2 is multiplying to this term as well as this term. You should not forget that. So this term 700 by 500 and cross multiplying will get 13,300. So 13,300 is equals to 2 IA2 into 200, that is 400 IA2 minus 0.8 IA2 square is it not is equals to. So here I can write it as 0.8 IA2 square minus 400 IA2 plus 13,300 is equals to 0. So this is a quadratic equation. So now I will get two values of IA2. You can insert this equation in Calc and get the answer.
464.18.
So IA2 is equals to
464.18.
18 amperes and
35.8.
IA2 is equals to 35.8 amperes. So there are two values. I should choose one which should be more suitable. So 464 ampere current is not suitable for a 200 volt machine. Is it? The motor is of 200 volt input voltage. So 200 volt input voltage motor cannot give a 464 amperes of line current or armature current. It is too high. Okay, and moreover, when I compare relatively with the first case current, it is 25 amperes. Okay, the first armature current is 25 amperes. The second armature current cannot be so large when the torque is same. No doubt the speed is changed. The speed is varied from say 500 to 700 RPM. Torque is kept constant. Okay, but armature current cannot vary to that large value. So therefore, IA2 is equal to 464 is not the current to be chosen. Okay, therefore IA2 is equals to, it is 35.8 amperes. IA2 is 35.8 amperes. Now, I have a relation here. ISH2 is equal to 50 by IA2. I can get ISH2 conveniently. Okay. So therefore, ISH2 is equals to 50 by IA2. So that is 50 by 35.8.
1.4.
1.4 amperes. Okay. So ISH2, I can write it as V divided by RSH plus RF. V divided by RSH plus RF. Because in the second case, a resistance is added in the circuit. So I know ISH2, I know V, I know RSH. I can find out RF. Therefore, RF is equals to, okay, V by ISH minus RSH. So V by ISH2 minus RSH. So this is 200 by 1.4 minus 100.
$42.86.
42.86 ohms. So this is the additional resistance to be inserted in the field circuit. This is the additional resistance to be inserted in the field circuit so that my speed increases from 500 RPM to 700 RPM. Okay. Is it clear? Any doubts? Okay. If not, we'll move to next example. A 220 volt DC shunt motor with armature resistance of 0.5 ohms is excited to give a constant main field. At full load, motor runs at 500 RPM, 30 ampere line current. If the resistance of 1 ohm is placed in armature circuit, find the speed at full load torque, the speed at double the full load torque, and also find the stalling torque. Stalling torque means maximum torque. Okay. Stalling torque is maximum torque. Okay. So for any motor, full load torque will be there, maximum torque will be there. Okay. Maximum torque is the upper limit of the torque beyond which we should not increase it. Okay. And generally it will be more than full load torque. Okay. Yeah. So there is a DC shunt motor. And there is an external resistance added. RC is equals to 1 ohm. Now in this case, the resistance that is added externally is given and speed has to be calculated. In previous example, the speed was given, resistance was to be calculated. Okay. And my constant field is given. So there is no field rheostat in the field circuit. So the motor is giving a constant flux. So 220 volts. ISH, this is IA. So armature resistance is 0.5 ohms. Line current is 30 amperes. If the resistance is 1 ohm is placed. So 1 ohm is, let me write the given things. So V is 220. Shunt motor with armature resistance of 0.5 ohms. So RA is 0.5 ohms. A constant field. So constant field means my flux remains constant. It is constant. In both the cases, it is constant. At full load, motor takes 500 RPM. So let me take this as N1 is 500 RPM. The line current I1 is 30 amperes. If a resistance of 1 ohm is placed, RC is 1 ohm, which is placed in armature circuit. Now find the speed at N2 at full load. Okay, at full load torque. Okay. N2 at double full load torque. And third, stalling torque. Maximum torque, that is Tmax. So what does this statement mean is, there is a speed of 500 RPM at full load. Now if at full load condition only, the first case C at full load torque, if at full load condition only, if 1 ohm resistance is added in armature, what is the new speed? That is the answer, question asked. First case. Second case, by adding 1 ohm resistance in armature, if the load torque is doubled, what is the new speed? That is what the question is. Okay. So first case, we'll start solving with first case at full load torque. Okay. So at full load torque, here my TA2 is same as TA1. There is no change because at full load, the speed is 500 RPM. Now the load is full load torque, but there is additional resistance. That is the only change. Okay. So my T is proportional to 5 into I. This we know. Therefore, T2 by T1 or TA2 by TA1 is equals to 5 2 IA2 by 5 1 I1. This relation we already have seen. So here it is mentioned that the flux is constant. Here phi 2 is equals to phi 1. Therefore, TA2 by TA1 is equals to IA2 by I1. TA2 by TA1 is equals to IA2 by I1. Now, the first case is at full load. Okay, so at full load, my IA2 is same as IA1 because observe, at full load, motor runs at 500 RPM, 30 amperes line current. So the first case is full load torque only. So IA2 is equals to IA1 is equals to 30 amperes. Even though I have inserted a 1 ohm resistance, the current drawn is adjusted with the same value of 30 amperes only. But the speed will change. The speed will not remain same. Okay, the speed will change because I have inserted a resistance in series. So EB has to change, therefore speed has to change. Okay, though the armature current is remaining constant, the speed will change because EB will change. So that is important here. So I can calculate EB1 and EB2. We have another relation, right? So we have N2 by N1 is equals to EB2 by EB1 into phi 1 by phi 2. But phi 1 and phi 2 are equal for my shunt motor. Here phi 2 is equals to phi 1. Therefore, N2 by N1 is equals to EB2 by EB1. Now I have to find out EB1 and EB2. So EB1 is equals to V minus IA1 RA. This is the first case where I haven't yet inserted the control resistance. Okay, so this is supply voltage is 220 minus IA1 is 30 amperes. IA1 is 30 amperes into RA is 0.5. So this comes out to be 205 volts. Okay. Now EB2 V minus IA2. Now it is not only RA, it is RA plus RC. Okay. In the second case at full load, I have included a control resistance of 1 ohm in the armature circuit. So it is RA plus RC. So this will be equals to 220 minus 30 0.5 plus 1 is equals to. It is 175 volts. So observe here. Okay. There is a change in back EMF, therefore there should be change in speed. Don't directly jump into conclusion that the given things are at full load only, therefore speed will not change. No, the speed will change because the back EMF is different. So when I am inserting a resistance in series with armature, the speed is bound to change, though the load is adjusted at full load only. Okay, so this you should observe. These are the observations. It is not a mere calculation in mathematics by substitution in equations. Okay, if you follow only the mathematics, then you will fail to appreciate the phenomena of operation. How the equations are giving us the physical phenomena and physical interpretation. Okay, we will fail to appreciate and we will fail to understand that. So these equations and values, whatever we calculate, these are not mere mathematical digits. These are the behavioral values of a machine. How the machine is behaving under what condition. So that you should be in a position to understand and appreciate. Okay, that is the outcome of these calculations. Not only the answers what we keep. Okay, so you should be solving examples in any course, in any subject it may be, not only in machines. In any subject, when you solve examples, you should be always attempting to understand the operation, to understand the phenomena, what is happening. Then you need not to remember things or memorize things for a long time. The things will be understood by you and you will readily get to know or reproduce whenever necessary. Okay, so these are the things you should grasp from these calculations. Okay, so we can calculate now N2. So N2 is equals to N1 into EB2 by EB1. So N1 is how much is given? 500 into 175 by 205. So my new speed at full load is
426.83.
426.83 RPM. So this is the new speed at full load only. This is new speed at full load when a resistance is inserted in the armature. Second case, at double the full load torque. So at double the full load torque, my TA2 will be twice TA1. So TA2 is equals to 2 times TA1. Okay. So my TA2 by TA1, this relation we have. Okay. TA2 by TA1 is equals to IA2 by IA1. By IA1. So this is twice TA1 by TA1 is equals to IA2 by IA1. So I can conveniently get armature current here. So IA2 is equals to 2 into IA1, which is 2 into 30, it is 60 amperes. So I can calculate EB2. Therefore, EB2 is equals to V minus IA2 into RA plus RC. You should not forget there is a control resistance here. So 220 minus 60 into 0.5 plus 1. So EB2 is
130.
130 RP. No, sorry, volts. Therefore, N2 is equals to the same equation. And that is N2 by N1 is equals to EB2 by EB1. So I can write N2 is equals to 500 into 130 divided by 205. EB1 will remain same.
Is 17.
Yes, N2 is
317.1.
317 RPM. So this is the new speed. When the torque is doubled, speed has reduced. Okay. When the torque is doubled, speed has reduced, but speed has not halved. You observe. When the torque is doubled, speed is not halved. The speed is more than half of the first case. Okay. Third case is third point. What we should find out is Stalling torque. Stalling or maximum torque. It is called Stalling torque, maximum torque, or pull-out torque. Sometimes it is also known as pull-out torque. Okay. Now, I can calculate torque once I know the power. Okay. So, I have a relation that T is equals to 9.55 into P divided by N. Is it? This relation I have. Okay. So, torque is equals to 9.55 P divided by N. Now, if I want the shaft torque, I should take shaft power. So, TSH is equals to 9.55 P out by N. If I want armature torque, TA, I should take armature power. So, TA is equals to 9.55 PA divided by N. PA is EB into IA by N. If I want maximum torque, I should take maximum power. Okay, so at what condition I need the torque? At that condition, I consider the power here. So here, the Stalling torque, that is Tmax. Okay, so Tmax is equals to, if I want Tmax, it should be 9.55 Pmax divided by N. Now, what is this Pmax? It is maximum power developed in armature. Maximum power developed in armature. Now, what is power developed in armature? PA is equals to EB into IA. Is it? This we know.
Yes, sir.
PA is equals to EB into IA. Now, if I want maximum power to be developed in armature, there is a condition in voltage equation and power equation. Yeah, we derived a condition for maximum power. What is that? The back EMF should be equals to applied voltage by 2, that is V by 2. So for Pmax, EB should be V by 2. So this is the condition for maximum power. Okay, therefore I can substitute this. So Pmax is equals to V by 2 into I. So that is 220 by 2 into I is 30 amperes, the first case. Okay. This is not related to the speed control. This is the maximum torque. So the line current drawn was 30 amperes. Therefore, Pmax is 3,300 watts. Okay. Now substitute this in torque. Tmax is equals to 9.55 into 3,300 divided by 500.
63.0.
63.03 Newton meter. So this is my maximum torque of the given DC motor. Okay. This is the maximum torque of the given DC motor. Any doubts so far? So this is all about today's session, today's class.